While the garden sleeps under frost and quiet, there's a different kind of magic happening. Not in the soil, but right here. In this pause, in this stillness, in the season that asks us to slow down before we grow again. Winter has a way of giving us space. Space to dream, to notice what worked last year, and what we might do differently when the sun returns. This is the perfect time to plan. Not in a rushed, overwhelming way, but gently. With a warm cup of something nearby. With seed catalogs spread across the table. With thoughts that wander and settle at their own pace. Hi, I'm Victoria, and today I want to invite you to my quiet winter routine for garden planning. One that's intentional, cozy, and grounded in real life. This isn't about filling every inch of your garden. It's about choosing what truly belongs there. What fits your space, your energy, and your season. Whether you're planning a small backyard plot, a few raised beds, or just a handful of containers, this slow approach helps you feel ready, not rushed, when the soil finally warms and spring begins to unfold. So if your garden is resting right now, and you're craving a calm, thoughtful way to prepare for what's next, stay here with me. Let's plan for a fruitful spring. One quiet page, one small decision, and one cozy moment at a time. Winter gives us the gift of time. Time that isn't asking anything from the soil. Time that isn't pulling us in a dozen directions at once. Time that lets us look back and gently look ahead. When the garden is quiet, we can finally hear ourselves think. This is when reflection becomes possible. I like to sit with my notes from last year and ask a few simple questions. What truly thrived? What surprised me in a good way? And what struggled no matter how much attention I gave it? There's no judgment here. No failures to tally. Just lessons. Winter planning isn't about perfection. It's about awareness. When we take time now to notice patterns, what the soil loved, what the sun favored, what felt like too much to maintain, we save ourselves so much stress later, because spring comes fast. And when it does, decisions made in haste often follow us all season long. This slow approach changes that. By planning in winter, we make thoughtful choices instead of rushed ones. We choose fewer things, better suited things. We plant with intention, not obligation. This kind of planning leads to a garden that feels lighter, more manageable, more generous. Not just in harvest, but in how it fits into your life. I like to keep a simple list here. Nothing fancy. Just small notes I can return to when the seed catalogs start calling my name. Because a garden planned with care has a way of giving that care back. And in a moment, we'll start turning these reflections into gentle, practical plans for the season ahead. One step at a time. Step 1 is simply to assess your garden. And even in winter, especially in winter, there's so much to notice. Without leaves or growth in the way, the shape of the garden becomes clearer. You can see where the light falls, where water lingers, where the soil looks rich, and where it might need a little care. I like to walk the space slowly. For example, this bed did well last year. The soil stayed loose, the plants stayed healthy, and everything felt easy here. This one struggled a bit. Maybe it dried out too quickly. Maybe it didn't get quite enough sun. Maybe I asked too much of it. And that's okay. Winter assessment isn't about correcting mistakes. It's about understanding the story your garden is telling you. As you walk, notice a few simple things. Which beds seem to thrive with very little effort? Which crops surprised you by how well they did? And which ones struggled, no matter how much attention you gave them? Pay attention to soil texture, drainage, exposure to wind and sun. These quiet details matter more than we realize. Once I've walked the garden, I bring these observations inside. I make a simple map, nothing fancy. Just a rough outline of the space, beds, paths, containers. And then I jot notes right onto the page. Good soil here, too dry by midsummer. Tomatoes loved this spot. Needs compost. This isn't a final plan, it's a conversation. Seeing last year next to this year helps things click. You remember what worked, you remember what felt like too much, and you start imagining what could be different. I always take a few winter photos of the garden. They don't have to be pretty, they just have to be honest. These photos become quiet reference points, a way to track progress and to remind yourself how far things have come. When we take the time to assess the garden this way, we set ourselves up for kinder decisions in spring. Decisions rooted in reality, not optimism alone. And next, we'll take what we've noticed here and begin choosing what truly belongs in the garden this coming season, without overwhelm and without pressure. Next, let's talk about seeds. Winter is the perfect time for this, when there's no rush, no pressure to plant right away, and plenty of space to choose thoughtfully. I like to start by bringing out everything I already have. Seed packets from last year, saved seeds in little envelopes, a few forgotten ones tucked into jars. There's something grounding about seeing it all at once. It reminds you that you don't need to buy everything new. Often, you already have more than enough to begin. As I sort, I ask myself a few simple questions. What did we actually eat last year? What grew easily, and what asked too much? What's worth growing again? This is where planning gently saves you time later. Instead of planting everything that looks appealing, you choose what truly fits your space and your season. Fewer crops, better care, a more generous harvest. Once I've chosen what I want to grow, I think about rotation. Rotating crops each year helps prevent disease, balances the soil, and keeps the garden healthier overall. It doesn't have to be complicated. I simply avoid planting the same crops in the same beds they grew in last year. Leafy greens move where fruiting crops were. Roots follow greens, and beds get a chance to rest and recover. Even small shifts make a difference. Some seeds are happy to wait for spring. Others appreciate a head start, like cabbage, broccoli, and cauliflower. These cooler weather crops are patient, steady growers, perfect for easing back into the rhythm of the garden year. Starting small is enough. You don't need shelves of lights or complicated setups. A simple tray, a sunny window, and a little care. I also think about which plants grow well together. Companion planting doesn't need to be exact or technical. It can be as simple as remembering what gets along. Marigolds near tomatoes, basil tucked in with peppers. Small pairings, but they help with the pests, encourage growth, and bring balance to the garden. These quiet partnerships add up over time. Seed selection isn't about getting it perfect. It's about choosing with awareness of your soil, your space, and your life. And once the seeds are chosen and the plan begins to form, everything feels a little more possible. Next, we'll take these ideas and start mapping them into the garden, turning dreams into something practical and ready for spring. Step 3 is all about preparing your tools and your spaces. This part often gets overlooked, but it's one of the most meaningful pieces of winter planning, because the way we care for our tools shapes how the garden feels when the season begins. I like to start by bringing everything inside. Pruners, shovels, anything that worked hard for me last year. I brush off the soil, wipe the metal clean, and take a moment to really look at each piece. A little sharpening here, or a drop of oil there. Nothing fancy, just steady care. Well-tended tools don't just work better, they last for decades. And there's something deeply satisfying about knowing the tools you'll reach for in the spring are already waiting, ready, and reliable. Once the tools are settled, I turn my attention to the spaces themselves. If you use raised beds, winter is a gentle time to make small repairs. Tighten a loose board, replace a worn corner, clear away what no longer serves the space. These little fixes now mean fewer interruptions later, when the garden is asking for your attention. This is also the perfect moment to prepare soil for indoor seed starting. Sometimes I like to mix mine ahead of time, slowly and intentionally. Compost for nourishment, worm castings for life and vitality, and coconut coir for lightness and moisture balance. Together they create a soft, welcoming place for seeds to wake up. Preparing soil now means that when the time comes to plant, everything feels easier. No scrambling, no last-minute stress. Just a calm transition into the growing season. None of this is dramatic. None of it needs to be perfect. But these small acts of preparation build a foundation you'll feel all season long. A garden doesn't begin in spring. It begins here, in winter, with care, intention, and with the quiet work that supports everything to come. Up next, we'll bring all of this together and begin shaping the plan itself, turning notes and tools into a garden that's ready to grow. This is the part I look forward to the most. Once the tools are tended and the groundwork is quietly in place, we get to pause and dream a little. I open my journal and let the season unfold on the page. Not with rules, but with curiosity. I start by sketching simple layouts. Nothing fancy, just shapes and notes. Where the sun lingered longest last year, where the shade crept in earlier than expected, where a bed felt abundant, and where it felt tired. As I draw, I imagine the colors. Deep green leaves spilling over the edges, rows of lettuce catching morning light, tomatoes warming on the vine. This is where the garden begins to feel real again, even when the ground is still resting. Then I think gently about timing. What will go in early? What can follow once the first harvest is finished? This is where succession planning comes in, not as a strict schedule, but as a rhythm. One crop making room for the next, the garden staying active but never rushed. A few notes here, a small arrow there. Winter planning doesn't demand precision, it invites awareness. As we come to the end of this quiet planning time, I hope this reminded you that winter garden planning isn't about getting ahead. It's about laying a foundation. The notes you make now, the ideas you gently turn over, the dreams you let yourself imagine, they all become the ease you'll feel when spring finally arrives. Before you go, I'd love to know, what are you dreaming of planting this year? If you feel like sharing, leave it in the comments below. And if you're looking for an online, free, welcoming community, we have a Facebook group called the Homestead Collective, where we talk about sourdough, gardening, and small-scale homesteading, and even slow living. So if that interests you, please look in the description. We'll have the link there. And so there are going to be more spring planting videos coming soon. Gentle, practical, and grounded in real seasons. And I'd love to walk through them with you. Until then, keep dreaming, keep planning, and enjoy this quiet moment before everything begins to grow again. I'll see you soon, back here in the garden.